Money in the Bank is right around the corner, and here are my predictions for Money in the Bank in Toronto. Let's get started. First match we'll be talking about is a six-man tag team match. Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and the third spot's kind of in the middle, but I think it's going to be Tonga Loa at the end of the day, or either Jacob Fatu, of course. I think a lot of this match has to determine what's going to happen on Friday night. Of course, I'm recording this before. I'm recording this on Thursday. Happy 4th of July, whoever's watching this. But I think this match has to be a street fight. This has to be, Extreme Rules, Bloodline Rules, whatever you want to label it. I think these guys have too much tension. There's been too much going on, too much, backstage brawls and all this just to be a normal tag team. I don't think they'll be able to just stand there on the side and just act calmly without nothing happening, without anybody getting disqualified. And I think this being a no disqualification match really helps out the winner, who I think wound up being the Bloodline, who really need this win to look really, really strong after especially coming out last Friday, what they did to Paul Heyman. Of course, free Paul Heyman. We want Roman back. The match we have is for the Intercontinental Championship. We have Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn, and I think this match is probably going to be one of my favorite matches, if not the best match out of the whole PLE. Braun Breaker, who has been absolutely tearing it up, destroying everybody since making his debut on the main roster, and especially Raw. Bangers against Sheamus, Ilya Dragunov, everybody that he's gone against. And I think they've shown him very well. He's been really, really strong since he's debuted. Sami Zayn, who's had an amazing title run so far, I think is very underrated. Of course, it's not to the level of Gunther, but he has been a solid champion after probably the greatest Intercontinental title reign. And now I think it's time for the baton to be passed and probably have the second greatest Intercontinental run of all time. And I think Braun Breaker here will destroy Sami Zayn and will win his first championship in the main roster. The next match we have is for the World Heavyweight Championship. We have Seth freaking Rollins versus El Campeón Damian Priest. I'm very excited for this match. And we have some stipulations that were put up on Raw. If Seth Rollins loses, he will no longer be able to challenge for this belt as long as Damian Priest is the champion. But if Damian Priest loses, he will no longer, of course, be the champion, but will no longer be able to be in Judgment Day, and he will have to leave. Win or loss, I think there will be some tensions, and maybe either way, him not being in the Judgment Day. These guys are going to put on a show. I cannot wait to see. I hope Damian Priest's knee from Clash at the Castle is not really too messed up. With Seth Rollins coming back pretty fast, gives me a little concern that, maybe they're just going to throw the belt on Seth Rollins, and when we get Seth Rollins versus Gunther. But at the end of the day, I have Damian Priest retaining the title, maybe with some outside altercations. Finn Balor, there might be a moment where he might end up, might cost Damian Priest the title, but at the end of it, Damian Priest comes through and he wins and beats Seth Rollins, solidifying himself as a great champion and not be shown as a paper champion. But I don't think he will be champion for that long if he wins. And next we have the Miss Money in the Bank ladder match, and we have Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark, and Chelsea Green. And I think, you could make history with Io Sky and have her be the first woman ever to win back-to-back Miss Money in the Banks. And I think three people that make sense but kind of don't make sense. I don't think that really need the Miss Money in the Bank briefcase. That's Naomi, Lyra Valkyria, and Tiffany Stratton. I think those three could be elevated into, Women's World Championship without it. I don't think it could. Tiffany Stratton, I think, could really be really good with it. Of course, being the heel, and of course, being next to Nia Jax and all this. But I think her having the briefcase with Nia Jax, who has a world championship opportunity, will kind of, cause some tension. Might be good, but of course, you can also go across, to the next show and maybe challenge a Liv Morgan, who really doesn't have any competition right now. We're just waiting pretty much for Rhea Ripley to come back, but I don't think that really helps her a lot. And I think the person who is perfect for Miss Money in the Bank, of course, being in Toronto, you have your last champion, Canadian champion, Sami Zayn, who I have losing the Intercontinental Championship. And I think here the obvious winner should be Chelsea Green winning Miss Money in the Bank. She has, that kind of character that could be able to lose maybe have some bad some bad cash-ins where she doesn't win, not necessarily where she might fail to cash it in, maybe at the wrong moments, but I think eventually, her with the Piper Niven next to her, kind of a bodyguard-esque, but still can, make a match herself. I think Chelsea Green will be perfect, and I think that's who I have winning Miss Money in the Bank. We have the men's Mr. Money in the Bank ladder match. We have LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and Andrade. And to me, pretty much anybody that's on SmackDown is not going to win this belt. Of course, being with, Cody Rhodes being the champion, I don't think anybody's going to beat him. I think that's going to, they're going to have to set up against him versus The Rock or him versus Roman possibly. Or maybe the only person that really makes sense is him versus Jey Uso, but that kind of, it's a bit of a reach and a bit of a stretch for that to happen. But I think Drew McIntyre is a really big contender for this. Of course, him possibly cashing in on the same day. And like I said, I don't think when Damian Priest wins, I don't think he will be champion for that long. I don't think he will be champion until SummerSlam. But I don't think it's going to be Drew McIntyre that wins Mr. Money in the Bank. There might be some outside interference. Everybody on Twitter has been going crazy, maybe saying AJ, interrupts his ladder match and absolutely breaks the walls and everything goes crazy and she screws over Drew McIntyre. I don't think that's the case. I think it might end up being CM Punk. My next favorite is Chad Gable. It makes a lot of sense, him and the Otis beef that had been going on, for him to do what Otis was not able to do and cash in the Money in the Bank. Of course, Otis losing to The Miz, but I think he's going to be too paranoid and so much more is going to be happening. And if there is going to be interaction, I would hope, and maybe it might be the White Six going after Jey Uso and maybe a few others here that that were kind of teasing the debut. Maybe a Carmelo Hayes, maybe even Drew McIntyre. I'm not too really sure. But my winner for Mr. Money in the Bank, Yeet in the Bank. He's the poster boy for this match. He needs to win. Main event Jey Uso needs a world championship. And like I said, Damian Priest, I don't think he's going to be champion for that long. Main event Jey Uso wins the Mr. Money in the Bank. Maybe same day cash in. I don't think it'd be too rich. But I have main event Jey Uso winning Money in the Bank. Those are my predictions for Money in the Bank. Make sure you comment down below your predictions and make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.